First contact and invasion. The skies over New York City blazed with an otherworldly light as the massive alien ship breached the atmosphere. Its sleek, obsidian surface reflected the panicked city below, a mirror to humanity's worst fears realized. Air raid sirens wailed, their urgent cries mixing with the cacophony of screeching tires and shouting voices as people scrambled for safety. In the United Nations building, hastily converted into an emergency command center, world leaders and military brass huddled around screens, their faces etched with lines of worry. General Sarah Chen, head of the newly formed Global Defense Initiative, stood at the center of the storm, her steady voice a beacon of calm in the chaos. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a drill. We are facing a situation unprecedented in human history. Our priority now is to establish communication and assess their intentions. As if on cue, every screen in the room flickered, replaced by the image of an alien being. Its form was vaguely humanoid, but with iridescent skin that seemed to shift colors with each movement. Large, multifaceted eyes regarded them with an unsettling intelligence. People of Earth, the alien's voice reverberated, somehow both melodious and grating. We are the Zarkov. Your world now belongs to us. Surrender, and you may live as our subjects. Resist, and face annihilation. A deathly silence fell over the room, broken only by the sound of someone's coffee mug shattering on the floor. General Chen stepped forward, her voice steady as she addressed the alien presence. We welcome you to Earth, representatives of the Zarkov. However, we must inform you that Earth is not yours to claim. We are a sovereign planet, home to billions of sentient beings. We request peaceful dialogue too. The alien's laughter cut her off, a sound like breaking glass. Dialogue. There is nothing to discuss. Your technology is primitive, your defense is laughable. You have no choice but to submit. With that, the transmission cut off. Moments later, reports flooded in from around the globe. Smaller alien craft were descending on major cities worldwide, their weapons already beginning to rain destruction. General Chen's voice cut through the pandemonium. This is not a negotiation. It's an invasion. All nations, initiate defensive protocols immediately. We will not go down without a fight. As chaos erupted across the globe, pockets of resistance began to form. In the streets of Tokyo, a young engineer named Hiroshi Tanaka found himself leading a group of survivors through the ruins of the Shibuya district. The alien forces had targeted communication and power infrastructure first, leaving the city in darkness. Hiroshi's mind raced as he guided the group through back alleys, avoiding the patrols of hovering alien drones. His years of tinkering with electronics and studying advanced robotics suddenly seemed quaint in the face of the invaders' technology. But as they huddled in the basement of an abandoned building, an idea began to form. Their comms, he muttered, drawing curious looks from the others. If we can intercept and decode their communications, we might stand a chance. Halfway across the world, in the bustling tech hub of Silicon Valley, Dr. Amelia Rodriguez watched in horror as alien forces decimated the nearby military bases. As head of a cutting-edge AI research facility, she knew their work could be crucial in understanding and combating the alien threat. Lock down the servers, she ordered her team. We need to preserve our research at all costs. This might be our only advantage. As Amelia and her team worked feverishly to secure their data, they didn't realize they were about to become the nexus of humanity's resistance. In orbit, aboard the International Space Station, American astronaut Jack Harper and Russian cosmonaut Yelena Volkova found themselves in a unique position. The alien forces seemed to have overlooked the station, perhaps deeming it too insignificant to bother with. We have a bird's eye view of their fleet movements, Yelena observed, her eyes glued to the observation window. We could provide crucial intelligence to ground forces. Jack nodded, already moving towards the communication array. If we can avoid detection and find a secure channel, we might just give Earth a fighting chance. As the first day of the invasion wore on, stories of human resilience began to emerge. In Rio de Janeiro, A group of Fagila residents used their intimate knowledge of the winding, narrow streets to ambush alien patrols, capturing weapons and gathering intel. In Kenya, Maasai warriors, armed with little more than spears and centuries of hunting knowledge, managed to bring down a low-flying alien craft, proving that the invaders weren't invincible. These small victories, while seemingly insignificant in the face of the overwhelming alien force, sparked a flame of hope. Humanity, it seemed, wasn't going to roll over and die. As night fell over a shell-shocked planet, General Chen stood before a hastily assembled council of world leaders. The room, a reinforced bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, hummed with tension. "Make no mistake," Chen began, her voice grave. "We are facing an enemy far beyond our current capabilities. But history has shown time and again that humanity's greatest strength lies in our ability to adapt, to think creatively in the face of overwhelming odds." She gestured to a holographic display showing pockets of resistance around the globe. "Already, we're seeing incredible acts of bravery and ingenuity. Our task now is to coordinate these efforts, to pool our resources and knowledge." The President of the United States, her face haggard from hours of crisis management, spoke up. "What's our next move, General? We can't match them in open combat." Chen's eyes flashed with determination. "No, we can't. Not yet. But we can fight smart. Guerrilla tactics, cyber warfare, and most importantly, we need to understand their technology. Every piece of alien tech we can salvage is a potential key to our survival." As the leaders debated strategy, reports continued to pour in from around the world. In London, the Royal Air Force had managed to down several alien fighters using a combination of conventional weapons and hastily adapted electromagnetic pulse devices. In Beijing, a team of hackers claimed to have briefly breached the alien network, catching a glimpse of their communication protocols before being locked out. Each small victory, each scrap of information, was a tiny spark of hope in the darkness of invasion. As the meeting adjourned, General Chen found herself alone in the command center, studying the global battle map. The situation was dire, with major cities around the world either under alien control or in ruins. But as she watched, new points of light began to appear, pockets of resistance, areas where humans were fighting back against impossible odds. A ghost of a smile played on her lips. The Zarkov had made a crucial mistake. They had assumed that humanity would break under the weight of their superior technology and overwhelming force. But they had underestimated the human spirit, the indomitable will to survive and fight back that had seen our species through countless hardships. "You want a war," Chen murmured, her fingers tracing the paths of resistance spreading across the globe. "We'll give you a war like you've never seen." As the first day of the invasion came to a close, humanity stood on the brink, battered, overwhelmed, but unbroken. The Zarkov thought they had come to claim an easy prize, a primitive world ripe for conquest. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant, a species with a long history of overcoming impossible odds. The war for Earth had only just begun, and humanity was ready to show the universe why you should never, ever count them out. The resistance begins. 2 weeks into the Zarkov invasion, Earth was a changed world. Major cities lay in ruins, alien patrols prowled the streets, and the remnants of humanity struggled to survive. But beneath the surface, in hidden bunkers, abandoned subway tunnels, and remote wilderness, the seeds of resistance were taking root. In the sprawling underground networks beneath New York City, General Sarah Chen had established a makeshift command center. The acrid smell of ozone and sweat filled the air as she pored over reports from around the globe, her eyes rimmed with exhaustion. "General, we've got a transmission coming in from Tokyo," a young lieutenant called out. Chen nodded, and the crackle of a weak radio signal filled the room. "This is Hiroshi Tanaka." A voice emerged from the static. "We've managed to intercept and partially decode Zarkov communications. They're using a quantum entanglement system, but there are patterns we can exploit." Chen's eyes widened. This was the break they'd been waiting for. "Mr. Tanaka, your team may have just given us our first real advantage. Can you transmit your findings securely?" As Hiroshi's team worked to share their discoveries halfway across the world, Dr. Amelia Rodriguez and her AA research team were making breakthroughs of their own. Holed up in their fortified facility in Silicon Valley, they have been working around the clock to analyze alien technology salvaged from downed craft. "It's like nothing we've ever seen," Amelia muttered, her eyes glued to a holographic display of an alien power core. "But the underlying principles, there's a logic to it we can understand." Her colleague, Dr. James Chen, no relation to the general, looked up from his own workstation. "Amelia, I think I've cracked their navigation systems. If we can replicate this, we might be able to predict their movements, maybe even control their ships." The excitement in the lab was palpable. For the first time since the invasion began, they felt like they were making real progress. Meanwhile, in orbit, the International Space Station had become an unlikely nerve center for Earth's intelligence gathering. Jack Harper and Yelena Volkova had managed to modify the station's systems to avoid detection, turning it into a silent observer of Zarkov fleet movements. "Another wave incoming," Yelena reported, her voice tense. "Heading towards the European continent. Looks like they're focusing on the remnants of NATO forces." Jack nodded grimly, relaying the information through their secure channel to the resistance below. "Let's hope Chen and her team can put this intel to good use." On the ground, the resistance was learning to fight smart. In the dense jungles of the Amazon, indigenous tribes had formed an unlikely alliance with stranded special forces units. Their intimate knowledge of the terrain, combined with military tactics, had turned the rainforest into a death trap for overconfident Zarkov patrols. Maria Fernandez, a young Yanomami warrior, crouched in the canopy beside Captain Jake Sullivan of the U.S. Navy SEALs. Below them, a Zarkov scout ship hovered, its crew searching for signs of human activity. "Remember," Jake whispered, "aim for the joints in their armor. That's where they're vulnerable." Maria nodded, her blowgun loaded with a dart tipped with a neurotoxin that had proven surprisingly effective against Zarkov physiology. As the alien troops spread out below, the jungle erupted in a coordinated ambush of poisoned darts, sniper fire, and improvised explosives. In minutes, it was over. The humans melted back into the jungle, leaving behind a destroyed scout ship and a message: Earth would not fall easily. Similar scenes played out across the globe. In the mountains of Afghanistan, battle-hardened Mujahideen fighters shared their guerrilla warfare expertise with NATO survivors. In the Australian outback, Aboriginal trackers guided special ops teams through the harsh landscape, ambushing alien supply lines. Each victory, no matter how small, was a morale boost for the beleaguered human race. Stories spread through hidden networks, reminding everyone that the fight was far from over. Back in her underground command center, General Chen received a secure transmission from Dr. Rodriguez's team. "General, we've managed to reverse engineer some of their tech. We're sending you specs for a weapon that can disrupt their shield systems." Chen's heart raced as she reviewed the plans. It wasn't a silver bullet, but it was a start. "Get this to every resistance cell we can reach," she ordered. "And tell Rodriguez's team to keep pushing. We need every advantage we can get." As the resistance grew stronger, the Zarkov began to realize that conquering Earth wouldn't be as easy as they had initially thought. In their central command ship, hovering above the ruins of what was once Beijing, the Zarkov Supreme Commander, Xarlath, raged at his subordinates. "How is it possible that these primitive beings continue to defy us?" He bellowed, his color-shifting skin flashing angry reds and oranges. "Find their hidden bases. Crush their pathetic resistance." But the humans proved maddeningly elusive. Every time the Zarkov thought they had found a major resistance hub, they would arrive to find it empty, with traps left behind that claimed more alien lives. The tide began to turn in small but significant ways. Human-modified EMP weapons disabled Zarkov vehicles. Hijacked communication channels fed false information to alien forces, leading them into ambushes. Captured alien weapons were turned against their former owners. In Silicon Valley, Amelia and her team had a breakthrough that would change the course of the war. They managed to create an interface that could hack into and control Zarkov battlesuits. "It's not perfect," Amelia explained to General Chen over a secure video link. "We need to be in close proximity, and it only works for a short time." But in the heat of battle, Chen nodded, a fierce grin spreading across her face. In the heat of battle, it could make all the difference. "Dr. Rodriguez, your team has outdone itself." As the second month of the invasion drew to a close, humanity had moved from mere survival to active resistance. The Zarkov, who had expected a quick conquest, found themselves bogged down in a grueling war of attrition against an enemy that refused to give up. In hidden bases around the world, human scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to understand and adapt alien technology. Soldiers and civilians alike trained in new tactics designed to exploit Zarkov weaknesses. A global network of resistance fighters shared information, resources, and hope. The cost had been high. Billions had died in the initial invasion and the brutal weeks that followed. Great cities lay in ruins, and vast swathes of the planet were under alien control. But humanity had something the Zarkov hadn't counted on: an unbreakable will to survive, to fight, and to win against all odds. As General Chen addressed the global resistance network from her underground bunker, her words resonated with every human fighting for Earth's freedom. "We have lost much, but we have not lost everything. Our homes, our planet, our very future hangs in the balance. But make no mistake, we are not beaten. With every passing day, we grow stronger. We learn, we adapt, we fight back. The Zarkov thought they could break us, but they have only succeeded in uniting us as never before. Today, we are all one people, one race, the human race, and we have a message for the Zarkov. This is our home. We will not surrender. We will not submit. And in the end, we will prevail." Her words were met with a roar of defiance that echoed through hidden bases across the planet. The resistance was no longer just surviving. It was preparing to take the fight to the enemy. The Zarkov had come expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they had stirred a hornet's nest. Now, they were about to learn why. Throughout human history, invaders had always underestimated Earth at their peril. The resistance wasn't just beginning. It was about to kick into high gear, turning the tide. 6 months into the Zarkov invasion, the face of the war was changing. Humanity, backed into a corner, was fighting back with a ferocity that surprised even the most hardened Zarkov warriors. The alien invaders, who had expected a quick and easy conquest, found themselves embroiled in a conflict that grew more challenging by the day. In the heart of the Rockies, the Global Defense Initiative's Central Command buzzed with activity. General Sarah Chen stood before a holographic display of Earth, watching as points of light representing human victories grew more numerous and brighter. "Report," she commanded, her voice steady despite the excitement building in her chest. A young officer stepped forward. "General, Operation Trojan Horse was a complete success. Dr. Rodriguez's hacked battlesuits allowed our forces to infiltrate and destroy 3 major Zarkov bases in North America." Chen nodded, a grim smile on her face. "And the European theater?" "Even better, ma'am. The EMP cannons developed by the London-Berlin Science Consortium have neutralized Zarkov air superiority over most of Western Europe. We're pushing them back." As reports of victories poured in from around the globe, it was clear that the tide of war was turning. Humanity's greatest strengths, adaptability, creativity, and sheer stubborn determination, were coming to the fore. In the Silicon Valleys of India, a team led by Dr. Arjun Patel had reverse-engineered Zarkov shield technology. "It's not just about defense," Arjun explained in a global broadcast to resistance cells. "We found a way to modulate the shields to create corridors of force. Imagine being able to shape the battlefield itself. This breakthrough led to the development of gravity corridors, artificial paths that could guide friendly missiles through Zarkov defenses or trap enemy ships in killing zones. Meanwhile, in the dense urban sprawl of Lagos, Nigeria, a group of hackers led by the enigmatic Ghostwalker had cracked the Zarkov's quantum encryption. Their entire command and control network is compromised, Ghostwalker announced, her voice distorted to protect her identity. We can listen to every order, predict every move. This intelligence coup allowed the human resistance to stay one step ahead of Zarkov operations, turning the aliens' coordinated attacks into disastrous routes. But perhaps the most significant breakthrough came from an unlikely source. In the remote steppes of Mongolia, a joint team of physicists and shamanic practitioners made a discovery that would reshape the understanding of both science and spirituality. Dr. Batbayer Okshir, a quantum physicist, and Kulin, a traditional Mongolian shaman, found that certain meditative states could influence quantum fields in ways that disrupted Zarkov technology. It's as if the collective human consciousness, when properly focused, can create ripples in the fabric of reality. Dr. Okshir explained to a skeptical but desperate scientific community. These ripples interfere with the quantum-based systems the Zarkov rely on. The implications were staggering. Across the globe, people from all walks of life, scientists, spiritual leaders, and ordinary citizens, began to train in these techniques. The Zarkov suddenly found their advanced technology failing at crucial moments, giving human forces the edge they needed. In orbit, the crew of the International Space Station had transformed their home into a full-fledged battle station. Using salvaged Zarkov tech and good old human ingenuity, they created a network of weaponized satellites. Target locked, Yelena Volkova called out, her fingers dancing over holographic controls. Firing in 3, 2, 1. A beam of concentrated energy lanced down from orbit, slicing through the shields of a Zarkov dreadnought hovering over the ruins of Paris. The massive ship listed, then plummeted to the ground in a spectacular explosion. Jack Harper allowed himself a moment of satisfaction before turning back to his console. One down, about 1,000 to go. Let's keep the pressure on, people. On the ground, the tide of battle was turning in humanity's favor. In the sun-baked deserts of the Sahara, a coalition of African forces, led by Egyptian General Amira Hassan, deployed swarms of nanobots that could eat through Zarkov armor like acid. For too long, the world has underestimated Africa, General Hassan declared as she led a charge against a retreating alien battalion. Today, we show the galaxy that Earth's cradle of civilization will be its staunchest defender. In the Amazon, the combined forces of South American nations had turned the rainforest into an impenetrable fortress. Zarkov ships that ventured into the green canopy never returned, taken down by a combination of advanced camouflage tech, bioengineered plant defenses, and the fierce determination of the forest's defenders. Even in occupied territories, the human spirit refused to be broken. In the ruins of Tokyo, Hiroshi Tanaka led a network of resistance fighters in daring raids, using reprogrammed Zarkov drones to strike at the heart of enemy operations. Remember, Hiroshi told his team as they prepared for another mission, every piece of their tech we capture is another weapon in our arsenal. We're not just fighting for survival now, we're fighting to win. As human victories mounted, the Zarkov found themselves in an unfamiliar position. On the defensive, Supreme Commander Xarlath, his once confident demeanor shaken, addressed his war council. How is this possible? He raged, his skin flickering through shades of deep purple and angry red. They were primitives, barely able to leave their own planet. One of his subordinates, a grizzled veteran of 100 conquered worlds, spoke up. Sir, we've never encountered a species like this before. Their adaptability, their creativity, it's unprecedented. They're turning our own weapons against us faster than we can develop countermeasures. Xarlath's multifaceted eyes narrowed. Then we must strike at their heart. Prepare the world breaker. We'll show these humans the price of defiance. But even as the Zarkov prepared their ultimate weapon, humanity was making preparations of its own. In a secret facility deep beneath the Antarctic ice, Dr. Amelia Rodriguez and her international team of scientists were putting the finishing touches on Project Phoenix. It's a risk, Amelia explained to General Chen over a secure quantum link. We're pushing the boundaries of physics in ways we barely understand. But if it works, Chen nodded gravely. If it works, we'll have the power to end this war once and for all. How soon can you be ready? Amelia took a deep breath, feeling the weight of history on her shoulders. Give us 48 hours. Then we'll either save the world or there won't be a world left to save. Chen finished. Understood. We'll do our part to keep the Zarkov distracted. Good luck, Doctor. The fate of humanity rests in your hands. As the call ended, Amelia turned to her team, a mix of determination and fear in her eyes. All right, people. This is what we've been working towards. Every late night, every failed experiment, every breakthrough. It all comes down to this. Let's show the universe what humanity is capable of. Around the world, resistance fighters and soldiers prepared for what they knew would be the decisive battle. The Zarkov were wounded, but a wounded predator is often the most dangerous. In New York, London, Beijing, and 100 other cities, humans looked to the skies, knowing that the next few days would determine the fate of their species. There was fear, yes, but also a steely resolve. They had come too far, sacrificed too much, to give up now. As Project Phoenix entered its final stages, and the Zarkov world breaker loomed in orbit, the stage was set for a confrontation that would echo through the ages. Humanity, the underdog, the species that refused to submit, was about to face its greatest test. The Zarkov had come to Earth expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant, a species with an indomitable will to survive and thrive. Now, as the final battle approached, one thing was clear. Win or lose, humanity would show the galaxy why you should never, ever count them out. The tide had turned, and the wave of human defiance was about to crash upon the shores of destiny. The counter-offensive. The air crackled with tension as humanity prepared for its most daring gambit yet. Project Phoenix was ready, and with it, the hopes of an entire species rested on a plan so audacious it bordered on insanity. But then again, insanity had become humanity's stock in trade in this war against the Zarkov. In the cavernous war room beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Sarah Chen addressed the leaders of Earth's united resistance. Her voice, transmitted across secure quantum channels, reached every hidden bunker and secret base around the globe. Today, we strike back, Chen declared, her eyes blazing with determination. Not just for our survival, but for our right to exist as a free species. The Zarkov came to our world expecting easy prey. Instead, they found a planet of warriors, innovators, and survivors. Now, we show them the full might of a unified Earth. As Chen spoke, Operation Hydra, the multi-pronged counteroffensive, began. Across the planet, human forces emerged from hiding, striking at Zarkov positions with a coordination that caught the alien invaders completely off guard. In the skies over North America, squadrons of fighters equipped with reverse-engineered Zarkov tech engaged the alien fleet. Leading the charge was Captain Miguel Hernandez, a young pilot who had lost his family in the initial invasion. "Remember what we're fighting for," Miguel's voice crackled over the comm as his squadron dove into the fray. "For Earth, for humanity, for our future." The dogfight that ensued was like nothing ever seen in Earth's skies. Human fighters, nimble and unpredictable, danced around the larger Zarkov ships. Gravity corridors, controlled by ground teams, guided human missiles through enemy defenses while disrupting alien targeting systems. In Eastern Europe, a massive ground offensive pushed towards one of the largest Zarkov strongholds. At the forefront was a division of mechs, towering humanoid machines that combined human piloting skills with salvaged alien technology. Colonel Anastasia Volkova, granddaughter of the ISS hero Yelena, led the charge in her mech, codenamed Bear. As they approached the Zarkov base, she opened a channel to her troops. "For too long, we've been hiding in the shadows," she growled, her mech's massive fists clenching. "Today, we show these alien bastards that Earth belongs to humanity." With a roar that shook the Earth, the mech division smashed into the Zarkov defenses. The aliens, caught off guard by the sheer ferocity of the attack, found their advanced weaponry struggling against the hybrid human-alien tech. Meanwhile, in the digital realm, the battle was just as fierce. Ghostwalker and her team of elite hackers launched a massive cyber assault on the Zarkov network. Viruses, more adaptive and vicious than anything the aliens had encountered, tore through their systems. "Let's give them a taste of human chaos." Ghostwalker grinned as she unleashed a particularly nasty piece of code. Across the globe, Zarkov communication systems went haywire, leaving their forces in disarray. But the true linchpin of Operation Hydro was unfolding in low Earth orbit. The International Space Station, now a heavily armed battle platform, prepared to engage the Zarkov's dreaded worldbreaker. Jack Harper and Yelena Volkova, their faces grim with determination, manned the primary weapons array. "This is for every human who's fallen," Jack muttered as they locked onto their target. The station's main cannon, a marvel of human ingenuity and alien tech, fired a beam of concentrated energy at the worldbreaker. The massive Zarkov ship's shields flared and held. "Damn it," Yelena cursed. "Their defenses are too strong." But even as despair threatened to set in, a transmission came through from Antarctica. Dr. Amelia Rodriguez's voice, tense but excited, filled the command center. "Project Phoenix is go. I repeat, Phoenix is go. All units, prepare for phase shift." Across the planet, in every major battle zone, human forces activated devices that had been distributed in utmost secrecy. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, reality itself appeared to ripple. The Zarkov, to their horror, found their weapons passing harmlessly through human targets. Meanwhile, humanity's attacks, guided by the quantum spiritual techniques developed in Mongolia, struck with unerring accuracy. Supreme Commander Xarlath, watching from the bridge of the Worldbreaker, felt fear for the first time in his long life. "What is this sorcery?" he demanded, his skin paling to a sickly gray. The answer came in the form of Dr. Rodriguez's voice, broadcast on all frequencies, in perfect Zarkov language. "This is humanity's gift to you, invaders. We have learned to phase shift our matter, to dance between dimensions in a way your science never dreamed possible. You came to conquer a primitive world, but instead, you've awakened a species on the brink of transcendence." As the Zarkov reeled from this impossibility, humanity pressed its advantage. The ISS, now phasing in and out of normal spacetime, launched another attack on the Worldbreaker. This time, their beam pierced the mighty ship's defenses like they weren't even there. On the ground, human forces pushed forward with unstoppable momentum. Mech units tore through alien defenses, human fighters dominated the skies, and even ordinary citizens, armed with nothing more than their indomitable will and hastily weaponized alien tech, joined the fray. In New Delhi, a group of schoolchildren, using meditation techniques that tapped into the quantum field, managed to disable an entire Zarkov battalion. In the streets of Rio de Janeiro, samba dancers moved in perfect synchronization, their rhythms creating quantum disruptions that sent alien war machines crashing to the ground. The Zarkov, a species that had conquered countless worlds, found themselves facing something entirely outside their experience. This wasn't just a war of technology or strategy. It was a battle against a species that refused to accept defeat, that treated impossibility as merely a challenge to overcome. As the counteroffensive reached its peak, General Chen received word that the Zarkov command structure was crumbling. "They're retreating," her aide reported, disbelief evident in his voice. "Alien ships are abandoning their positions worldwide." Chen allowed herself a small smile. "Press the advantage. We're not just driving them off our world. We're making sure they never think of coming back." The Worldbreaker, once the pride of the Zarkov fleet, now limped away from Earth, trailing debris and escape pods. Supreme Commander Xarlath, his authority in tatters, faced a mutiny from his own officers. "We cannot win this war," his second-in-command declared. "These humans, they're not like any species we've encountered. We must retreat, regroup, and hope they don't decide to pursue us across the stars." As the Zarkov fleet fled Earth's solar system, humanity erupted in celebration. From the ruins of great cities to hidden bunkers, from tropical jungles to Arctic wastes, the cry of victory echoed around the world. But in the Antarctic Command Center of Project Phoenix, Dr. Amelia Rodriguez and her team shared a moment of quiet awe. "We did it," she whispered, tears in her eyes. "We actually did it." Her colleague, Dr. James Chen, nodded solemnly. "We've changed everything, Amelia. Our understanding of physics, of reality itself. Nothing will ever be the same." As the dust of battle began to settle, humanity faced a new dawn. They had not merely survived an alien invasion. They had emerged from it stronger, more united, and on the brink of a scientific and spiritual revolution that would propel them to the stars. The Zarkov had come to Earth seeking easy conquest. Instead, they had become a footnote in the story of humanity's ascension. As news of Earth's victory spread across the galaxy, other alien civilizations looked towards the blue planet with a mixture of fear and awe. For now, humanity celebrated. But even in victory, leaders like General Chen, Dr. Rodriguez, and countless others around the world knew that this was just the beginning. The stars awaited, and humanity, tempered by fire and united as never before, was ready to take its place in the cosmic community. The counteroffensive was over. Earth was free. And the legend of humanity, the indomitable species that refused to accept defeat, began to spread across the stars. Triumph of the human spirit. The dawn broke over a changed Earth. The scars of war were still visible. Shattered cities, cratered landscapes, and the remnants of alien technology scattered across the globe. But there was something else in the air, an electric sense of possibility that seemed to hum in every human heart. Humanity had not just survived. They had transcended. 1 year after the Zarkov retreat, the United Earth Council convened in the newly rebuilt United Nations headquarters in New York. Representatives from every nation, every ethnicity, and every walk of life gathered to chart the course for humanity's future. General Sarah Chen, now Secretary of Extraterrestrial Affairs, took the podium. Her face, weathered by the burdens of war, now shone with quiet pride. "My fellow humans," she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the globe via holographic projections, "we stand at the threshold of a new era. The Zarkov came to our world expecting to find an easy conquest. Instead, they awakened a sleeping giant and filled us with a terrible resolve." Cheers erupted from the assembled crowd, echoing in city squares and village centers around the world. "But our victory is not just about repelling an invasion," Chen continued. "In our darkest hour, we discovered strengths we never knew we had. We shattered the barriers between nations, between sciences and spirituality, between what we thought was possible and impossible." As Chen spoke, screens around her displayed images of humanity's achievements during and after the war. The gravity corridors that now aided in global transportation, the phase shift technology that was revolutionizing everything from medicine to space exploration, the global network of quantum communication that had replaced the old internet. "We have been tested in the crucible of war," Chen declared, her voice rising with emotion, "and we have emerged not just victorious, but transformed. Today, we take our first steps not as Americans, Russians, Chinese, or Nigerians, but as Terrans, children of Earth, united and ready to take our place among the stars. As Chen's speech concluded, Dr. Amelia Rodriguez took the stage. The once reclusive scientist had become a symbol of human ingenuity and the bridge between scientific and spiritual understanding. The Zarkov thought they were coming to teach us a lesson, Amelia said, a wry smile on her face. Instead, they became our unwitting teachers. Their invasion forced us to look beyond our petty differences and see the potential within ourselves and each other. She gestured to a holographic display of the solar system. Already, we have established bases on the Moon and Mars. Our ships, powered by the very technology we reverse-engineered from our would-be conquerors, are prodding the edges of our solar system. But this is just the beginning. The display zoomed out, showing the Milky Way galaxy. The universe is vast, filled with wonders and, yes, dangers. But we face this cosmic ocean not with fear, but with anticipation. We have proven to ourselves and to any watching eyes in the galaxy that humanity is a force to be reckoned with. As Amelia spoke, in orbit above Earth, the next phase of human evolution was taking shape. The International Space Station, once a humble outpost, had grown into Unity Station, a sprawling complex that served as part shipyard, part research facility, and part diplomatic center. Jack Harper and Yelena Volkova, now revered as heroes of the Zarkov War, supervised the construction of humanity's first true interstellar vessel. The ship, christened Phoenix, embodied the best of human and adapted alien technology. "She's beautiful," Yelena murmured, watching as robotic assemblers put the finishing touches on the sleek vessel. Jack nodded, his eyes reflecting the starlight. To think, just a few years ago, we were struggling to reach Mars. Now we're preparing to touch the stars. Back on Earth, in the heart of the Amazon rainforest, a different kind of evolution was taking place. Maria Fernandez, the young Yanomami warrior who had fought alongside Captain Jake Sullivan during the war, now led a global initiative to blend traditional wisdom with cutting-edge science. Our ancestors understood truths about the universe that we're only now beginning to rediscover, Maria explained to a group of wide-eyed students from around the world. The connection between all living things, the power of collective consciousness. These aren't just spiritual concepts. They're fundamental aspects of quantum reality. As Maria spoke, she demonstrated how ancient meditation techniques, refined and enhanced by modern understanding, could influence quantum fields. The students watched in awe as she manipulated energy fields with nothing but her focused will. In labs and temples, universities and indigenous communities around the world, similar scenes played out. The boundaries between disciplines blurred as humanity raced to understand and harness its newfound potential. But even as Earth looked to the stars, it did not forget the lessons of the past. In a secure facility in the Himalayas, a team led by Hiroshi Tanaka worked tirelessly to enhance Earth's defenses. "We beat the Zarkov," Hiroshi reminded his team as they fine-tuned a planetary shield grid, "but they're not the only threat out there. We must be prepared for whatever the universe throws at us next." This sentiment was echoed in the chambers of the United Earth Council, where discussions about first contact protocols and interstellar diplomacy were underway. Humanity was determined to meet the galaxy on its own terms, extending a hand in friendship, but always ready to clench it into a fist if necessary. As the second anniversary of the Zarkov defeat approached, Earth prepared for a global celebration unlike any in human history. But this wasn't just a commemoration of victory in war. It was a celebration of human potential, of the spirit that had allowed a fractured species to unite and triumph against impossible odds. In every city, town, and village, humans gathered to share stories, honor the fallen, and look to the future. The air buzzed with excitement as news spread of the Phoenix's imminent maiden voyage. Humanity's first ambassadors to the stars were preparing to carry the torch of Earth to distant worlds. As night fell, billions of eyes turned to the sky. The stars, once distant and unreachable, now seemed to beckon. In those infinite depths, humanity saw not emptiness, but possibility. The Zarkov had come to conquer a world of primitives. Instead, they had unleashed a species destined for greatness. General Chen, watching the celebrations from the balcony of the UN building, felt a sense of profound satisfaction. "We did it," she whispered to herself. "We not only survived, we thrived." Dr. Rodriguez, standing beside her, nodded in agreement. "The real journey is just beginning," she said, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "Can you imagine what we'll achieve in the next decade, the next century?" As if in answer to her question, a brilliant light streaked across the sky. The Phoenix beginning its historic journey to the stars. A cheer rose from the watching crowds, a sound of pure joy and limitless anticipation that echoed around the world. In that moment, every human, from the highest government official to the youngest child, felt the same thing. A sense of unbridled potential, of a future limited only by the bounds of imagination. The Zarkov invasion, meant to subjugate, had instead liberated humanity from its earthly constraints. The message to the galaxy was clear. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged victorious, not just through force of arms, but through the indomitable strength of the human spirit. They were no longer just inhabitants of a small blue planet. They were Terrans, children of Earth, and they were ready to greet the universe not as supplicants, but as equals. As the Phoenix disappeared into the depths of space, humanity looked to the future with hope, determination, and an unshakable belief in their own potential. The stars awaited, and Earth's children were finally ready to answer their call. The Zarkov had learned a costly lesson, one that would echo across the cosmos. Never underestimate humanity, for when pushed to the brink, humans don't just survive, they rewrite the rules of the game. They emerge stronger, smarter, and more determined than ever. In the grand tapestry of the universe, a new thread had begun to weave its way through the cosmic design. Humanity, the species that refused to accept defeat, was taking its first bold steps into a galaxy that would never be the same again. The human adventure was just beginning.